Catherine. Sorry I didn't get a chance to make the videos I had intended to. Um, I've been having some tooth problems. It's kind of sidelined me a little bit. Um, but I'll do a kind of quick one, and then I'm going to do some other ones once I read through the rough drafts of SA2. I'll be posting some videos to help correct some of the misapprehensions some people may have about the whole citation issue. But let me quickly go over the assignment for last week, and then hopefully you've been able to get started with it since the information is here. But I'll try to highlight the things that I talked about in class. So the basic assignment is to finish the rough draft of SA2. So let me just get this up. So the assignment for SA2 is quite a bit longer than it probably needs to be. So let me just cut to the chase. The student samples I added, and I think they're helpful in seeing what the essay is going to look like. So if there are two of them here, let me just get into this one. So the idea in SA2 is that I give you an article, and you're going to do an essay that both summarizes the essay, that is the article, that is captures what the main point that the author is trying to make with some detail about his or her argument and evidence and that sort of thing. And then gives your own response to the essay, that is, gives your own take on it, your own connections to it, what you were thinking as you read it, questions that it raised for you. You can go in a variety of directions for the response. The basic format of the essay, the body of the essay will be two halves. The top half will be the summary, and then you'll have a transition, and then you'll give your response. It's possible to go back and forth, but a little bit of summary, a little bit of response, a little bit more summary, a little bit response. That works well if there are not too many sections of the essay, and if you have a response to every section. It's a little bit hard to manage because you're constantly, if you go back and forth like that, you're constantly having to make sure your reader is straight on whether it's you talking or whether you're reporting on what the writer of the article has to say. So it's a little bit easier to manage if you do the summary first and then the response. But you're not going to start your essay by just jumping into summarizing some article. The reader has no idea where it comes from. So you want an introduction that introduces the issue or issues that the article deals with to set some context for your reader so they know what the article is about. So this is an essay that a student wrote responding to an article I had given him. He was writing about the military, and I gave him this article about the difficulty military recruiters are having finding people interested in joining the Army these days with political conditions the way they are. So this my student has an introduction here that just kind of lays out that as the context of that. He did a little bit of research to get us this statistic that the Army was 6,000 new soldiers short of his goal. So that is another aspect of the assignment, that you're responding to an article that I gave you, and then you need to find your own article that could be used either as part of the introduction or as part of your response. It's not going to be in the summary, because for the summary you're going to be focusing on the article I gave you. This student used several sources, and he used them both in his introduction and in his response. You're only required to use one source, and you can use it in either place depending on what makes sense. So he's got this introductory paragraph. Then in paragraph 2, he introduces the article. Notice he gives the title of the article he's responding to and the author right at the beginning here. And then he goes through and summarizes. He takes three paragraphs to do that. He's broken the article into 3 sections. When he gets to, this would be paragraph 5, then he transitions from his summary of the article to his own response. Because he was in the military himself, he had a connection and knew something about it. So he used some of his own experience, but he also did some research here, finding this article by Corey Dickstein in Stars and Stripes, and there's another source down here. So he's using in-text citation, identifying the source with parentheses and the author's last name. In this case, he gives the author's name in his text, so he doesn't need to use the in-text citation. And then at the end, he has a works cited section, which should be works, plural, which has 4 sources. The one that I gave him, which is this one by Linehan. And then he found 3 sources, Dickstein, Myers, Remfer. There's some issue with the formatting here. It's supposed to be out at the margin. Now, this is not exactly the format that you would use if you were turning in an essay on paper. It would be the reverse, where this Dickstein would be out at the margin and these subsequent lines would be indented, which is called a hanging indent. Don't worry about it on the blog. Just get the information that you need. So author, last name, comma, first name, period. This is the title of the article. He's made a slight mistake here, and then he's not capitalizing these words. It should be, H should be capitalized, R, these 2 R's, goals. Amid is a preposition, so it doesn't get capitalized, but most other words do. Pandemic, but is a conjunction. It doesn't get capitalized, but top officials say more diversity needed. Those all should be capped. Here's the title of the website he got it from. The date, day, month, year is MLA format, except it should be abbreviated OCT period. So there's some little issues. And then the URL here. So that's the format. Looking at these sample essays, I think it'll be useful for you to see how to put things together. And then again, there are, in the assignment here, it goes over how to do a summary, which is stuff I'd covered before, and then all the different, not all, but a number of different possible responses. Your response and your summary should be roughly equivalent in length. His summary was a little longer than his response. That's fine, but you don't want 6 paragraphs of summary and then just a paragraph of response. You may respond in several different ways. If there's several different, you may agree largely or disagree largely, and then you may want to talk about what the ramifications or implications of this particular position are. You may include a little bit of personal connection, personal experience, if you have personal experience that connects to the article. Okay, so that is the rough draft of Essay 2 posted on your blog. There is some information about how you take information from the source and use it in your own writing. This is a chapter about the 3, it's about quotation and paraphrase. It also has some information about summary. Those are the 3 basic ways that you can transfer information from an outside source into your own writing. And then, of course, the issue that arises in the process of doing that is how do you do it ethically and avoid plagiarism. So this is a chapter to read. I think it's maybe 18 or 20 pages. And then there's some, these are a couple other pages from writing teacher whose work I use some. They're very dense. There's a lot of information on there. He shows you the process of actually integrating the material into your sentence structure. So these are things that it takes some time to get skillful at doing some of these moves. So I don't expect that everybody's going to be perfect the first time around. And it's something that will develop as you work through several research processes. So this is information that you might go back to as you get to the revision stage and as you're working on the research paper, which is going to be a longer version of this. So again, this assignment, the purpose of it is to go through the steps of the research process, generating a research question, finding some sources or a source, evaluating that source, extracting information from the source, integrating it with your own words, and then citing the source, both the in-text citation where you say within your paragraph where the information comes from, and constructing the work cited, which in this case will be, you should have at least 2 works if you find one source of your own and then cite the article that I gave you. Okay, so that's the basics of the week's work. Let me know if you have any questions. If you can get, also let me know when you get that rough draft up so I can find a peer reviewer for you. I'll be starting to assign the peer reviewers later today. It's Monday morning now. But if you get something up in the next few days, I'm sure there will be other people who are a little bit late, and I'll hopefully be able to find somebody I can pair you up with. Okay, that's it. I'm going to save this and I'll email it to you shortly.